thing that I'm excited about with Cogmed is it's an innovation for ADHD, and it's very effective, and I think what you'll be impressed by is the amount of research that's been done on it already, and I have some exciting personal results with it, so we'll get started here. So my story is I'm a licensed child psychologist. I've been a therapist for 22 years, licensed psychologist for 15 years, and I've worked as a director of outpatient assessment services, worked as a clinical director at a residential facility, outpatient psychologist. But the area that's most important for this context is I'm a Cogmed provider. And what is important about that story is particularly the story about my son who has ADHD. And we were aware of that when he was about 4 years old. I spent a long time basically searching under every rock and everywhere I could find for innovations for ADHD. And what I found was that the traditional approaches for ADHD were frustrating. And that's why I kept searching. And Cogmed was the last thing that I found. So you see that in that list. There's EEG biofeedback, heart rate variability biofeedback, behavior management, parent training, and also even medication. Tried all those things. And when we finally found Cogmed, we did Cogmed, it really was the sense that we're finally done. We're finally done dealing with this issue of ADHD. So again, when he was 4, struggled to focus, and those 10 years went by really very quickly. The first thing that we did, and this is what's captured here, is parent training. And you may have, if you're familiar with Russell Barkley, he's written a book, Taking Charge of ADHD, and one of the points that he makes in that book is when you attempt to help a child with ADHD, you need to use large reinforcement and immediate reinforcement. So essentially you have to find out from the child what is really matters to them on that day, and they get to earn that or not earn that based upon their behavior. And so as I kind of capture here with this silly picture with the huge gloves on there, is it's kind of you have to make yourself big and powerful in relation to the child, and they have to know that there are consequences that are on the line whenever they behave or misbehave. And when you do that, it's effective. Now the other thing about that is the way I think about it is sort of my inner drill sergeant, because you feel kind of like a tough guy and you always got to be on your game. And in some ways we used to even do this thing called pre-teaching. So before you go to an event, you plan where you're going to have the time out, how long it was going to be, how you would do it. And so they knew what the ground rules were before you got there, but you really kind of felt like a drill sergeant. It was very, very demanding, tiring. The other issue is then he went to school, and there wasn't a drill sergeant at school like me, and that meant that his behavior went back to where it was before. Next list, and what you find generally in stimulant medications is that they tend to share many side effects. So appetite loss, which then results in weight loss, insomnia, dry mouth, stomach ache, nausea, headaches, irritability. So what I talk about is the side effect shuffle. And what that means is that you try one medication with a physician, and for a while it seems okay and you're doing better, but then that side effect that was kind of irritating becomes more and more irritating, so much so that you decide, well, let's try another one. And you start all over. And you go through the same process and you'll end up having another side effect. And then you kind of keep going through it. And what I found with my son was that one of the things that was happening with him was he was losing weight. And when you have weight loss, interestingly, I found out later, is that you tend to have a loss of growth opportunity. And so my sense really was that, wow, he seems like he's getting smaller almost. And so my urgency about that, given that he's a guy, and I'm concerned about that for him. But the other issue is insomnia. He's up at night. So anyway, I continue to struggle with that, and I really had a goal. What can I do to help him not have to take medications, particularly stimulant medications? So I kind of went on this journey that was a 7 or 8 year journey. One of the things that we did, which is captured by this picture, is EEG biofeedback, electroencephalograph biofeedback. And what that means is that you take sensors and you attach it to someone's scalp, and you run a wire from there into an amplifier that goes to the computer. As you see on the screen, there are waves that are going across. The biofeedback that we used was a little more interesting than just the waves, but what you do is you learn to change the feedback on the computer based upon your brainwave patterns. And generally what you get with people with ADHD is you tend to get too much slow wave activity, which is theta wave activity, and not enough fast wave activity, which is beta wave activity. And so you're teaching them to learn how to increase beta and decrease theta. And you do that by the feedback will control simple games. So you can maybe make something move or make it go faster or something like that. But you can play games with it. So we did that. And the issue that I ran into with that was that the model for that is not a clear-cut standardized protocol with me. Well, I went and got the training, But you run into this difficulty of a lack of standardized protocols, which means that you don't have good, high-quality research. That means that sometimes you feel like you're kind of meandering around a little bit. I started to feel like I need to get another doctorate in just doing biofeedback to be able to do it effectively, which was frustrating. Now, the upside, in my situation, specifically with my son, was that he was able to get off medication, which was a big thing because we were concerned about the side effects of that. So there was a positive, but there wasn't this feeling that, okay, we're done. It was kind of like, well, we made a lot of progress, he's doing better than having to take medicine, but we're not done. We also tried heart rate variability biofeedback, which is also interesting. What that does is it will track your heart rate as it varies over time. And what you can do is you can learn to manage the heart rate into more of a sinusoidal wave, so it becomes more of a smooth wave. And when you do that, stress goes down. And there are a lot of positive benefits to that, including being able to focus, being able to be more, better problem solving. However, my sense was it didn't have that much of an impact on ADHD. Now, they had some minor studies with it, but the sense was that it has much more of an impact on stress. And I like it for that. I still use it for that. So then what happened was our paths crossed with what's called Cogmed working memory training.